day to you folks out there in the digital world. Welcome to what I believe is episode 11 in the life of Bryce. So let's just break off right there. Instead of me telling you where I'm going and what I'm doing, we'll get to that stuff later. We are off on a wander. I don't know where I'm wandering, don't know what I'm doing, but you're gonna see. I'm gonna just drive. When I get somewhere that is interesting, I'll tell you more about where I'm at, because that is going to be sort of the MO for this trip. If it looks interesting, looks like fun to go do, whether I've done it before or I haven't, I'm going to wander on up and I'm going to show you. So talk at you all later. Out of there, folks. Found me a campsite. I was actually going to go and do a hike this evening, but it looks like I've got to do a couple of late afternoon calls. This site happens to be one of my favorite little ones. We were here actually about a month ago. It's a good little base. There's a whole lot of stuff up and around here, so we are going to go into some new country at some point during this week. But for tonight, I am going to be hanging out in this particular campsite. Just got my fly rod all set up and ready to go. The water level has come down significantly since I was here last, so I'm really going to spend probably from about 6 o'clock when I get done with work until dark fishing. Won't be filming a whole lot, but maybe you'll get some snippets here and there. Anyway, just saying hello from the campsite and talk at you later. Looks like it's dinner time. Going super simple tonight because I want to get down in that river and fish as soon as that little bit of sun up there goes all the way away. It's getting there slowly. Slowly, slowly, slowly.
Good evening. It is the end of day one on this particular meander through the woods. Spent the evening at a familiar campsite. I got up here probably about noon. I had to kind of time it between work calls. I ended up doing some in parking lots, making notes. And then when I got here, I spent most of the afternoon actually working. Then did some fishing. We only caught 3 fish today, but I got pretty wet. I explored a bit. It's hard getting around on these big boulders. Instead of talking throughout the day, what I decided I was just going to do is I filmed a whole bunch of little clips that I'm going to put together as a montage. My purpose is just to show you what a full actual day looks like for me. Of course, this is just bits and pieces, but typically it may be a work day, but you just see me off playing and doing all sorts of stuff. What I never film is the rest of my day, all the work that I do end up doing, how I end up doing that. And so I kind of just put together a few little pieces. Just for reference, I probably spend about 4 or 5 hours plus a day on the telephone. And on top of that, I'm of course got to update spreadsheets and all that good stuff and track data and verify data. And yeah. What am I doing right now? Well, it's about 10:30 at night. And I'm pondering the idea of laying here and going to bed. What I have been doing is just sort of kicking it, looking at my GPS, kind of figuring out what and all is out there that I might want to go and do over the course of this week. Tomorrow's shaping up to actually be a pretty busy work day again, so it looks like I'm probably going to be just hanging out here, but I'll probably slowly work my way up the roadway. We'll see what kind of comes about, and we'll go from there. Anyway, it's about time to turn Gaia GPS off, turn Buffy the Vampire Slayer on.
Last week on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's that bloody Slayer whenever I turn around.
Well, good morning to you folks. It is Wednesday morning. I am on a 10-minute gap in between a couple of calls, and so I'm just making myself some breakfast burritos and coffee. Thought I would just say howdy. Got a lot of work to do today. Don't know how much I'll be filming, so you might not see a whole lot of today. But I did just want to say good morning, and we'll go from there. See what the day brings. Like somebody had a bad day.
lake poking out through the bush down there. Really wish I had reception.
Welcome to Lake Evan in the Alpine Lakes Wilderness area, East Fork of the Foss River. I believe it might be West Fork. I think it's East Fork though. Does that they say the early bird gets the worm? Well, this early bird got the fishing lure. It's kind of awesome. Got up early, worked, drove up here, got in a short hike before I have to go work again. I only have to drive about a mile down the road to get its reception. And the beauty of it is now that I'm back out here at the trailhead, what do you see? No cars. I actually parked up and around the bend because my forest pass has expired and the ranger station is closed. And the sporting goods store was out of them. So, yeah. Well, damn.
My road's gone. It's like probably last year, 2 years ago. Shit. Used to be an awesome campsite just up and around the bend a ways. Not no more. Time for another call. Do you want to watch me work? Or would you rather? Well there, it must be dark because I have weird lighting shining down upon me, yeah? This puts out some pretty good light. Got my cool little lighting system I rigged up on the underside of the Jeep hatch here. It's just a couple of LEDs that fit up on the thing, and then there's of course a controller inside where I can easily get to it. I'm back. The magic of editing. See, the camera falls over, you don't even see it. Maybe you did, I'm not really sure. Anyway, I am just saying goodnight and signing off. As you can tell behind me, it's dark. It's like my favorite time of night, actually. I wish these bright lights weren't on, but you need them to be able to see me, right? So what did we do today? Woke up this morning really early, actually. I was out of the Jeep and moving around by like 6 o'clock. Went down on the river, fished quite a bit. I did not film fishing today because I figured I showed you enough fishing yesterday. After that, I spent from about 8:30, give or take, like 5 minutes, to about 11:15 on the phone. At that point in time, it actually still looked like it was pretty early in the morning because we had some pretty heavy cloud cover. So I started heading up the mountains, rolled way back into one of my favorite little, like, off the side of the road lakes to hunt at. And I decided, since I'm up here and I still got an hour, I'm going to go ahead and check out a trail I have not been down in years. It's a fairly short trail. I think the total round trip hike's like 0.8 according to my GPS. So Evan Lake, you got to take a look at that today. It's a pretty little like subalpine lake. I rolled over and into the Miller River drainage. It's not too far from where I was at, but since Necklace Valley's off the to-do list, like I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow, so I figured I'll just come over here to a known spot where I could be cozy, and I pretty much played with my rock crawler all night. I went down to the river, great pocket to fish in, but there's like people from a campground on the other side of these like railroad tracks that are swimming, and so I figure you're ruining my fishing. I might as well just play with the rock crawler. And so that's pretty much been my evening. Tomorrow has got some work in it, probably got some adventuring in it, possibly got a wander in it. Guess you'll find out. Until then, I will talk at you later, and I hope you have a good night. Let's get rid of this white light, yeah? Good morning, folks. It is whatever day it is. Doesn't really matter, does it? It's another day, and my schedule beeps, and my email chimes, and my phone rings to dictate what I need to do. Today, there wasn't supposed to be a lot of that, but at 5:15 a.m., my phone started ringing. I ignored it, went back to sleep, and it just kept ringing. And then the emails started coming in, and it has been an eventful morning. And so I had this intent of by about 7:30 or so, leaving camp and heading up into the higher country because I thought I had a relatively free morning and I wanted to get a nice hike in. It is now almost 10, which is all good, right? That's the entire point of all of this. So I will accept that and find something fun to do here in a little bit. So stay tuned. We'll see what we see today. And at some point, that'll be pulling back into my garage. Anyway, jabber, jabber, jabber. Talk to you later.
thinking maybe we should do some scouting before we wander too far up into these woods. I'm the only person up here, and the road, well, the road's good, actually, sorta, if you got the clearance for it. They're working on repairing the worst section of it now. So what was pretty much impassable without four-wheel drive before is now very passable. So people are going to start coming up here again. What I'm doing, though, is this road's actually one I've been up many a time. Favorite little lake about a half mile down the road, might be a mile from where I'm at right now. Lake Elizabeth, you can actually park next to it. I believe you've got some video last year of us up in here. That being said, I've been studying the GPS, and somewhere up on the foothills, not what you can see behind me, there's a mine up there, but the other direction, over there, is Crater Lake. I'm not sure exactly where, but I am looking for the trailhead to it. And what I think, not 100%, but I think where this road's closed right here, if I go up there a ways, I'm going to find the old trail. And yeah, let's go check it out. Man, the Jeep could totally make it down here. Well, that's a pretty little meadow, huh?
That was a bit of a wander. So we didn't find the lake. I could have, but I didn't. That little roadway goes back about a half mile. Took no time to book on down it. Once you get to the end of it, you could tell there used to be like a parking lot. The trailhead is actually flagged right there and pretty easy to see in the beginning. From that point, the trail itself should only be about a mile and a half. So 2 mile total wander. I thought it was no big deal. I started back into that bush and made it 50 yards and I lost the trail. Looped back out, found it again, and I kept doing that using my GPS primarily. I quit even trying to follow the actual trail and just followed the line on my GPS that said that's where the trail was, navigating the terrain as best I could. I got in there about another half mile roughly, and that was where the trail all of a sudden turned and headed off into the mountains towards the lake itself instead of following this little drainage valley. There's a big meadow there, and so I was like looking out there, looking at the GPS. There was no obvious trail, but I knew I could probably just follow through, and I mean, it's just crossing a meadow, walk towards the mountain because that's where the lake is. It says it's just barely like 200 feet up the rise of that mountain. So I start down into it, and I hear all this ruckus in the bush, and I immediately back up, climbed up onto the rock where I was sitting kind of scanning the meadow, and see a bear go tearing off through there, and he runs up the side hill on the other side, stopped, turned around, looked at me. I mean, I got a good solid look at him. So what made that really interesting? I see black bears, maybe not every trip, but several a year easily. I jump them in the bush, I see them on the road. Like, black bears don't really scare me. That being said, this wasn't a black bear. Now, we're not supposed to have grizzlies this far south in the Cascades. They're just not supposed to be here. Occasionally, they stray into the North Cascades National Park, where we were at last episode. But I never even hear reports of them down in this part of the country. But what bear is damn near twice the size of a black bear and has a hump between its shoulders? There's only one that I know of. That being said, it's not worth the risk to either me or the bear. And so we are going to roll back down to a cozy little spot, make some coffee, and do a little bit of work. I got to work on a PowerPoint presentation that somebody needs to have done and ready for next Monday. So I figure I'll get it all put together and then I'll email it off once I get down to reception again. All right. I talked a lot today. Well, folks, I think I'm going to call that a wrap for this particular journey. Ended up coming back down off of the failed lake attempt, trying to get into Crater, and worked for a couple hours down in the river bottoms. Now I've got a few calls that I've got to do, but I figured I might as well drive on my way back home while taking those phone calls. So, without any further ado, that's that. Not a bad little trip. Got to do a couple hikes, got to do a couple wanders. Until the next time, I hope you have a brilliant day.